What if I told you that some of the absolute biggest channels on YouTube are run by people you've never even seen? We're talking millions of subscribers, massive paychecks, all without ever stepping in front of a camera. So let's pull back the curtain on this hidden world of faceless YouTube fortunes. It might sound kind of crazy, but the numbers don't lie. Over 40% of the top 1,000 channels on YouTube are, for all intents and purposes, faceless. This isn't some tiny little niche strategy. It's a huge, dominant force on the platform. These channels are basically hiding in plain sight. So how are they doing it? This quote, it comes from a guy who's made millions this way, and it just forces you to rethink everything you thought you knew about YouTube. I mean, if subscribers and views don't matter, then what does? It really hints at a much smarter, more sophisticated business model humming along behind the scenes, one that's built on systems, not on stardom. Okay, so let's break down what these channels actually are. What do they look like, and how do they even operate without a host on the screen? A faceless channel is, well, pretty much what it sounds like. The creator never shows their face. Instead, the content is driven by other visuals and usually a really compelling voiceover. And here's the crucial part. YouTube's algorithm could not care less if there's a face in the video. It only cares about watch time and engagement, which puts these channels on a totally level playing field. And you can just see here the sheer variety of ways you can do this. You've got screen recordings for software tutorials, stock footage for documentaries, animation for explainers. Heck, some of the most successful channels just show hands for stuff like cooking or crafts. What this really means is the barrier to entry can be incredibly low. And please, don't mistake this for some small-time operation. We are talking about absolute giants. WatchMojo, over 100 million subscribers. Kurzgesagt explains mind-bending science with gorgeous animations to over 23 million people. These are household names, and not a single one of them relies on a presenter's face. All right, so this brings us to the big question, the one everybody's asking. How much money can these channels really make? Let's get into the numbers behind these so-called cash cow channels. This is where it gets super strategic. CPM, that's cost per mil, is what advertisers pay you for every 1,000 views. And as you can see from this table, not all niches are created equal. Personal finance, for example, pulls in these huge CPMs because companies selling expensive stuff like investment platforms are willing to pay a premium to get in front of that audience. Choosing the right niche from the get-go is absolutely fundamental to maximizing your revenue. So let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. These are estimated monthly ad revenues for real faceless channels. You've got Charisma on Command pulling in over 50 grand a month, but even smaller, super focused channels like Chris Invest, which just uses simple whiteboard animations, are generating a really substantial income. So the bottom line is that this can be whatever you want it to be. It can start as a side hustle, bringing in a few $100 a month, but for the folks who treat it like a real business, it can absolutely scale into a six-figure income stream. The potential is just enormous. Okay, so you see the potential, but how do you actually build one of these things? I can tell you it's not about luck. It's about having a clear strategic playbook to follow. Success really rests on these 4 pillars. First, you pick a profitable niche with topics that people will be searching for years from now. Second, you build a system to produce content, which often means outsourcing. Third, you get obsessed with analyzing what's working and optimizing for it. And finally, you do not just rely on ad revenue. And this part right here is so key. The smartest channels build out a diverse monetization stack. Affiliate marketing, where you get a commission for recommending products, is massive. Same with brand sponsorships. But selling your own digital products like courses or ebooks, that can often bring in way more cash than the ads themselves. All right, time for a quick dose of reality. Hitting those YouTube Partner Program goals, that's 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours of watch time, it takes a minute. If you're uploading consistently, most people get there in about 6 to 12 months. This is a marathon, not a sprint. That word, automation, it gets thrown around a lot. But what does it really mean here? It's so much more than just telling an AI to write a script for you. Let's break it down. See, YouTube automation is a business model. It's about creating a system where you, the owner, you act as the producer, the strategist, while the actual making of the video, the script, the voiceover, the editing, is handled by freelancers or AI tools. You're building a media machine, which means you also become a manager, and trust me, that comes with its own learning curve. And it's really important to get the 2 sides of automation here. On one hand, yeah, you've got AI tools for creating pieces of content, like a script or a voiceover. But the real game changer? That's workflow automation, building a seamless process to manage the whole production pipeline, from an editor's first draft all the way to the final scheduled upload. And this diagram here, this shows you what a professional system looks like. The whole thing is streamlined. An editor uploads their work, the owner reviews it, and once it's approved, the system handles the rest. This is what allows you to scale. It removes all the bottlenecks and frees you up to focus on growth, not the day-to-day grind. It's a true assembly line for content. So let's be perfectly clear. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You can't just push a button and watch money magically appear. Success here comes from building a systematic, scalable media business. It takes strategy, it takes consistency, and it takes the business chops to manage a team and keep the quality high over the long haul. And this all leads to a final, pretty provocative thought. As AI and automation make it easier and easier for anyone to make content, what's left? What's going to be the thing that makes one automated channel pop off while another one just disappears? Well, the answer has to be strategy, true creativity, and a deep human understanding of what an audience actually wants. That's the one thing that can never be fully automated,